Welcome back to Good Morning San Diego. A benefit event is giving local foster youth who are exiting out of the system the help they need to thrive. Joining me now is CEO Don Wells for Just in Time for Foster Youth with more details on how the event went last night. The organization, let me clarify, is called Just in Time, and this is an event that was held yesterday. We're going to recap this. Don, good morning. It's so good to have you on Good Morning San Diego once again.
Hi, thanks for having me, Elizabeth. Appreciate it.
And I love the backdrop, by the way. There is a connection with Skydeck at Del Mar Highlands that we're going to talk about as well. So I wanted to point that out for our viewers, is if they're wondering, well, where is Mr. Wells? What is this neat background? Well, it's all going to make sense. Tell me how the event went last night.
Well, yesterday was our College Bound event, which we do every year. This year, 64 young people who were in the foster care system who were going off to college. And we do this event because even though they're getting a lot of financial support in order to attend, what we do is try to create a community of support. You can see in the pictures how many people we had there. Mm-hmm. And that's the youth themselves, our staff, past people who did College Bound who are now graduating or succeeding in college, and lots of volunteers who help them and become that support system. So nationally, the statistics for young people graduating from college who are in foster care is 3 to 6%. And we've been doing College Bound since about 2006, and we have a 75 to 80% retention and graduation rate for those young people, because all they need is a support system and people who are encouraging them to get through, and they can see young people who come before them who are graduating. So it's been a phenomenal service we've been able to offer these young people, and it's inspirational to us every year as we see so many people graduating, going on to graduate school. Wow. We also help youth who are in graduate school. We have a 100% graduation rate so far for people we help with graduate school.
Wow. I mean, Don, this is, and just looking at those images, number one, from yesterday's event, right, is really touching, because what ends up happening, you know this more than I do, is that a lot of people who are not familiar with how the foster system works may not think, well, what happens to these, kids who are becoming young adults as they transition from exiting out of the system?
Right.
What happens? What happens to them? And that's why Just in Time, this local nonprofit that you are, the chief empowerment officer for, that's why this nonprofit is so important, because this group steps in to help.
Exactly. So in our minds, young people absolutely need resources when they come out of foster care. So we help them get their driver's license. We help them get their first job. We help them with learning how to manage money. But the primary and the biggest gap for young people is disconnection. They're disconnected from their families early on. They're in the foster care system. They get moved around a lot, so they remain disconnected while they're in the system. And then they come out of the system and they're still disconnected because they haven't formed those lasting relationships that make all the difference. So for us, it's essential that we give them resources, but without the relationships to go with that, it just doesn't work.
Right.
Because young beings need connection. And this event yesterday was a great example of that. I had one person come up to me and said, during the pandemic, they developed a hug deficit because they hadn't been around people and have that contact. And so now we're back together, the community's there, and people feel that sense of belonging. Everybody needs to feel like they belong.
Wow, that's so important. That's pretty powerful. Well, look, we are looking ahead toward this week, because there is a way that the community can get involved and continue to help Just in Time. So let's talk about what's going to happen in this whole connection with Skydeck, by the way, which I have yet to check out, but it's super cool.
Right. So there are two things. First, Skydeck is something that's happening. Del Mar Highlands Town Center, back in October of 2019, came to us and said, we want to open Skydeck. It's going to be a great thing, but we also want to do something that gives back to the community at the same time. And so they were starting to construct Skydeck. You can see pictures of that right now. And it's a phenomenal space. for people to come together. Everybody, there was a preview event that happened last week, and you could see how relieved people were to be able to come together and have that sense of connection. So this Tuesday, we are inviting a lot of our supporters to come there. It's sold out at this point. It's like 500 people who are going to be there to celebrate our community of Just in Time. And that's all due to the generosity of the people at Delmar Highlands Town Center, who, despite the challenges they had, because this was supposed to happen a year ago, and they had to keep going, and they kept this commitment to us, and we're going to be celebrating that on Tuesday. And besides that, getting back to your other point, we still are building community for these young people. This past year, during COVID, we actually served about 1,200 individual youth who had been in foster care. And we were only able to do that because we have this community of volunteers who help make that engagement happen. And we have people who continue to give us the financial support we need to serve that many young people every year.
That's fantastic. So the Sky Deck event on Tuesday is sold out. We want to, which is a great thing. You know, we're pleased to hear that. But people, I guess, can just go to the website JITfosteryouth.org to contribute and continue these programs and all the wonderful work that you guys are doing.
They can contribute and they can become volunteers.
And volunteers. That's a good point. You also need volunteers. Listen, it is so good to have you on to talk about this, you know, the great work and the impact that you guys are making in the lives of these young adults. We appreciate it, Don. Thank you so much. We'll keep in touch as we go along here because it's summer, and again, more and more people continue to transition every year, right? They go from the foster care system into adulthood, and they need help, all the support that they can get. Thank you, Don.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, we'll talk soon. The